Oh, I scared the dogs. Guys, wow. I'm so sorry that it's taken me so long to get a new video up for you guys. Truthfully, I have not had a moment alone in weeks. Days. Fucking chairs, man. Today I wanted to do some fantasy recommendations for all my mood readers out there. I have quite niche moods here. Hi, sweetie. So, this is Audie. I put out a little poll on my community tab just asking if you wanted another cozy vlog or if you wanted fantasy recommendations for mood readers, and you guys voted fantasy. So here I am. I'm here for you. I'm here to please the people. I have 3 main pillars. The first one is dark, mysterious, emo vibes, okay? The second is dystopian, political strife, science fiction. And the last one is light, fluffy, romantic, and dreamy, and cottagecore. The first book I wanted to talk about in the dark, mysterious, emo vibes mood is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. V.E. Schwab is one of, if not my favorite author of all time. Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is literally my favorite book of all time. This book follows the story of a 14-year-old girl named Olivia who gets a letter from her uncle, who she's never met, beckoning her to come visit his estate called Gallant, only for Olivia to then get there to realize that her uncle is dead, but there are a lot of other dark and creepy and supernatural things at work in the house. It's super cozy, but also very emo, dark setting, immersive setting. It is YA, so there's nothing like too horror-y, but there definitely are creepy parts in it. There's also a lot of beautiful illustrations in this one. It is a beautiful book, like aesthetically speaking. It just feels like old money, mansion, dark magic at work. Very, very cool. Would recommend. Highly, highly. Okay, the second recommendation for emo, dark, and mysterious is The Serpent and the Wings of Night duology by Carissa Broadbent. I read this really recently on my Kindle, of course, and I loved it. It was so good. It's about a young girl named Oriah, who is a human who was adopted by the vampire king of this kingdom. In this kingdom lives vampires and humans, and vampires basically rule everything, and humans are just
dirty, rotted peasants.
No one likes them. Oriah is brought up by Vincent, who is the vampire king, of course, and he's trained her to be basically this insanely talented warrior. It's also, if you love female assassin stories, like I do, then you would really like this. And she basically enters herself into this competition called the Kajari, which has only ever involved vampires, and it's basically a bunch of vampire warriors go into this arena and basically fight to the death. It's like the Hunger Games, but for vampires, but Oriah is going into it, and she will be the only human. It is so good. If you love Twilight and you love the Hunger Games, this is kind of a mix of the two of them. There is a romance in it, which is, I gagged for it. I absolutely gagged for it. Basically, Oriah forms an alliance with a vampire named Rain. The third book I wanted to talk about in the dark, emo, and mysterious fantasy recommendations is The Crimson Moth by Kristen Ciccarelli. I haven't read this one yet, but I know that it's kind of based in a Victorian time, and it's basically about a world where vampires, not vampires, witches are seen as evil beings, and they're trying to be completely expelled from society, basically. Killed. It's a witch genocide. And so the world has kind of been divided by witches and witch hunters. Rune is a witch. She's one of the last witches existing in this world. During the daytime, she poses as a human who's like, I don't know anything, head empty, no thought. But at nighttime, she turns into
a witch vigilante.
Okay? But of course, when things start picking up and getting more complicated, she has to form an alliance with Gideon, who is a witch hunter. It's bloody, it's sexy, it's romantic, it's dark, it's emo, it's witchy. You know, we really need to get back into more witch content. Now, I could not talk about this mood without talking about Dune. Now, you have definitely heard of Dune. It's been all the rage since the movies came out. I read the book before the first movie came out. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it is extremely dense. And by dense, I mean, as you're reading it, it's a really thick book and the font is tiny. And basically, you have to reread sentences to make sure you actually understood them the first time. That's the kind of book it is. Here's the most basic synopsis of Dune. It follows the Atreides family, specifically the son, the heir, called Paul Atreides, who rule Arrakis, this barren wasteland, essentially, besides the fact that basically fully made of this super potent drug called spice, which heightens everyone's consciousness and strength, I believe. So that's basically their trade. It follows Paul after his family, the Atreides, have been betrayed by the other great houses, and finds himself becoming a sort of prophet, and then gets into a fight with a scary bald man. So that's all I'll say about Dune. There's like 18 different Dune books, so I don't know how long they're gonna do the movies for. Legend has it, Frank Herbert is still writing Dune. Okay, so I also could not talk about this genre without mentioning one of my favorite series of all time in existence, which is The Hunger Games, including A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The world has been divided into 13 districts surrounding the basically main district called the capital. It's run by this dictator of a president called President Snow. They hold a game every year where they put a bunch of children from the 13 districts into an arena to kill each other for the capital's entertainment, for taking revenge on them for rebelling against the capital during the Great War. Holy moly mackerel. What an incredibly crafted and executed series by the queen herself, Suzanne Collins. Fabulous, incredible story about political corruption, and not only political corruption on one end of the spectrum, but also on the other, which I think is something we need to talk about more. Next, we have 1982 by George Orwell, a classic. I read this last year for the first time. George Orwell's classic dystopian novel, the story of one man's nightmare odyssey as he pursues a forbidden love affair through a world ruled by warring states and power structure that controls not only information, but also individual thought and memory. 1984 is a prophetic destruction of truth, freedom, and individuality. They control all the documents, all the books, all the history has been completely erased, so no one gets any information on anything besides how great Big Brother is. The story of love in it is so heartbreaking. I know you're like, grow the up, first of all. Pick up 1984, read it, and then stare at a wall for 5 hours afterwards, contemplating what it meant, because that's what I did, and I'm a freaking genius. Next, we have arguably my favorite mood, because I'm reading one of them right now. The light, fluffy, cottagecore fantasy reads. The first recommendation for this mood is Lore of the Wilds by Annalise Sabrana. This came out, I think, last month? I have not read this yet, but I have heard stunning reviews about it. But it follows the story of Laura Alameu, who lives in a forest village which has basically been imprisoned. It's been imprisoned by a group of ruthless fae who have taken all the humans in this village hostage. And so Laura takes it upon herself to make a deal with a Fey Lord. Babe, we all know how this ends, okay? The best part about this is there are 2 Fey men and 1 human woman. She will leave her home to catalog / organize an enchanted library. Enchanted library, you say? That hasn't been touched in 1,000 years. No fae may enter the library, but there is a chance a human might be able to breach the cursed doors. But really, she's after the one thing the fae covet above all. Magic of her own. When undeniable chemistry ignites, she's not just in danger of losing her life, but her heart to the very creatures that she can never trust. Isn't that just all men, you know? As a man, you are a creature that I can never trust. Very cottagecore, very cozy, very cute. Okay guys, like, I don't know what you expected from this, but I'm not gonna sit here and not talk about Once Upon a Broken Heart. I'm not gonna do it. And if you don't like Once Upon a Broken Heart,
get out of my trap house.
As you can see, I've read the first 2 books, Once Upon a Broken Heart, The Ballad of Never After, which is one of my new favorite books of all time. Okay? And of course, the last one, which I just started reading last night, A Curse for True Love. So these basically follow the story of Evangeline Fox, whose heart is shattered on the rocks of life by a grimy, snot-nosed boy named Luke, who marries her stepsister instead of her after they had a beautiful love affair which she thought was going to last forever. So she goes the only place she knows of to make a deal in order to have him back. She goes to the Prince of Hearts. Little does she know, this will be the beginning of an incredible, fantastical, I'm gonna cry, beautiful journey, which leads her to handsome princes, evil wizards, good wizards, little mini dragons that fly around and hang out on your shoulder, enchanted, cozy cottages and inns, hot, sexy fates, which are assholes, but deep down you know that they still have a heart. Now, after she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, who also goes by Jax, he then kind of uses her as a puppet to administer all of his dirty work. But as the two of them start to get to know each other a little more, things get a little interesting. You guys, I just have to say, I have not had such a viscerally beautiful experience reading a series of books than I have reading these books. I truly have been transported to the Magnificent North when I read these books. You can smell it, you can smell the smells, you can see little mini dragons, you can hear the voices. It's so adorable, fluffy, dreamy, sweet, cute, cottagecore, amazing, everything you've ever wanted in a cute fantasy series. Stephanie Garber, please, for the love of God, let me live in your big, juicy, fantastical brain. Please. Okay, and then I'm about to do it again. But you want cozy, you want epic love story, you want dreamy and fantastical. Okay, they're not aesthetically the same. Calm right down. I got this one when I was still in Canada, and then I got this one when I was in London. So the covers are different aesthetics, but I think that's kind of cool. Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross follows the story of Iris Winnow, who is a writer for the Gazette in her small little town. Kind of set in like World War II times, but it's also has magic and there are fantastical elements. Since her brother has been shipped off to war, she's been writing letters just to get, you know, some peace of mind and just slipping them in her wardrobe. And then one day she gets a letter back. It's about academic rivalries. The other main character is absolutely fabulous and I love him so much. Roman Kit, who comes from a rich, posh family, who is kind of supporting the other side of the war effort. He is just as talented a writer as Iris is, and they're both fighting for the same position at the Gazette. And it's also about their relationship. It's just so magic and whimsy and beautiful. This was a 5-star. This was my first 5-star of 2024. I really, really highly recommend it. I just finished this one literally like a day ago. I loved it. It was a lot more high stakes than Divine Rivals because it was more about the war instead of their little rivalry. But it was absolutely, I loved it. It was still 4 stars. There was a lot of talk about hot tea, little magical things, cute little plaid skirts, very cozy cottagecore, dreamy, whimsy, amazing. You would love it. I just know it. Okay, I know it. All right, guys, that's everything for me today. Thank you so much for watching this. I really want to apologize about the lateness of the video. Again, I have literally been so busy and I wanted to film this yesterday. Today's Monday, but I literally got so sidetracked. I got my nails done and then had to run literally all around London to find a bank machine to take cash out because their debit machine wasn't working, and that took literally all day. So loving you guys, missing you guys always. Cannot wait to see you next week. Maybe I'll even get 2 videos out to you this week or next week, because I got a lot of filming time on the weekend. It'll be fabulous. Okay, love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.